so neat being able to explore through the deep, dark forest. Must be such a biodiversity hotspot.
Oh, so is Shelley. We're so lucky to have our forest here. Forests are home to, as you can see, a huge number of trees. The trees really provide habitat for all sorts of animals as well, and plants. We've got, of course, our native birds, and we've got bugs. But also a little something people forget about is our native fungi. So we've got 3 kingdoms found in this one type of environment, and they all intertwine and have their own role to help the forest function healthily.
Right, you talk about the forest functioning. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, forests have a number of roles. So one of the big ones is, of course, plants through photosynthesis take up carbon dioxide and they produce air or oxygen, which we all need to breathe.
Indeed. So a pretty important process, and food for animals, shelter, habitat. You can see why so much lives in here. But also, how do you know what you're looking at? You know, we've struggled through the supplejack. We all know about that because it's hard work getting through it. But how can we identify things here?
So you really look out for the different features in the plants. So something like this mahoi or Whitey wood, it has quite a unique bark to it. So it's quite white, and you'll often see some white stripes, and you've got these serrated edges around the leaves. So that's one way of telling the type of plant. Of course, their leaves are different. So here we've got the Nico. That's quite a unique plant and quite obvious to identify. As we were walking down the path, I saw this pink flower on the ground, and that to me was an indicator that we've got a big pūrere. And if you look back there, we can see this huge old pūrere, probably a couple of 100 years old at least. Yeah, so there's a lot of features you can look out for in the plants.
Yeah, and if you were keen on climbing, you'd be able to go up through the layers, and I can see up there an epiphyte. What's that?
Oh, an epiphyte is a plant that grows on another plant. That one there is an astelia, and that provides an amazing home for all sorts of bugs and birds too, and sometimes bats.
Brilliant. So we've got all those different habitats and layers through the forest. We can look closely and see if we can identify things. And Māori had a really deep understanding of the ngāhere and used it for rongoa as well.
Oh, definitely. So if you think about 200 years ago, there were no pharmacies or shops. So there were people who were specialised in rongoa Māori or Māori plant medicine. You may have seen this plant that I picked, which is quite a commonly known rongoa plant. This is the kawakawa. So kawakawa has this beautiful heart-shaped leaf. And you can see here along the stems it has these little knobbles at the joints. This plant is really amazing for skin irritations, for rashes, for cuts, for burns. But it's also important to remember that if you're ever going to go out and harvest plants for rongoa, you need to have someone with you who is a real expert, as some of our native plants are actually poisonous, so you don't want to get the wrong one.
Exactly, so very important to be able to identify your plants. Hey, well, thank you. It's been awesome exploring. I think we should go and do a bit more so we can find some more biodiversity. Let's go.